Hey, it's Michael Kosta. It is Monday, July 21st. This is the Tennis Anyone podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you for buying my book, Lucky Loser, that is out now. We will get into some results from the weekend. Kind of a weird time in tennis after Wimbledon. Hard courts hasn't really started yet. I think DC starts this week. And yeah, we'll get into the results. But I have to talk to you about Colbert. I mean, that is the thing that's been in my mind. I was biking through upstate New York this weekend, and the Late Show with Stephen Colbert was given to him from David Letterman. Stephen Colbert is a comic who probably is best known for the Colbert Report. He eventually got to the Colbert Report from being correspondent on The Daily Show under Jon Stewart. A lot of you know who Stephen Colbert is. I believe Stephen Colbert's best work was at the Colbert Report, playing a character, playing a right-wing nut job. The transition to late night at CBS was a hard one for him, especially in that first year. It was strange for us, the viewer, to try to digest Stephen Colbert, the real guy, not the right-wing character. And ratings dropped. It was a struggle. It was a tough transition. All transitions are. There's literally a diagnosis, transition disorder, adjustment disorder. It's hard to transition. It's hard to adjust. Something to think about when you're moving, when you're changing jobs, when you're getting a divorce, when you're dating somebody new, when have a new couch, when there's a new kid, when the dog dies, when there's a new dog. Adjustment and transition are difficult. And eventually, the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, is that what it's called? Yes. Started to gain traction, started to increase the ratings. Now, he did turn very political, and most of it pointed at Donald Trump. And I should be the first to say that I should be the first to say that at times I didn't think it was necessarily working or was too in one direction. You know, famously, Jay Leno would never do that because he didn't want to piss off both sides. Well, all of late night had a difficult decision to make, which is these are comedy writers, comedy professionals, and you're looking at society and you're going, well, we have to call bullshit out on this stuff. And there's never been more bullshit than there's ever been, period, especially in the United States. So, long story short, the show was canceled, and it's bullshit is what it is. It is, I Instagrammed it on Friday. It was really been on my mind all week. Obviously, I work in late night. I work at The Daily Show. I believe strongly in the First Amendment and the ability and the right to criticize whoever is in power, whether you agree with it or not. That's the big thing. That's the hard part of freedom of speech. It isn't acceptable to say, but Stephen Colbert was being mean to Donald Trump, but Stephen Colbert wasn't funny. That isn't acceptable. Why that isn't acceptable is that's about taste. He was doing well in the ratings. He was the number one late night show. Late night isn't doing as well as it used to. 15 million people used to watch Johnny Carson. Yeah, they didn't also used to have a fucking internet machine in our pocket at all times. So I need to start by saying I love late night TV. It's where I work. I think it's magical what happens every day on a late night show. If you ever see me host The Daily Show, I always come out and I speak to the audience and I say, we wrote this today. We came up with this shit today. I don't think enough people understand, respect, give enough credit to the fact that this morning at 9 a.m. there was a blinking cursor on a blank computer screen, and we wrote the show today. This isn't Succession. This isn't White Lotus. You don't go away for 7 months to a writing retreat and come back with magic. It happened today, for better or for worse, for correct take, for incorrect take, for a little bit mean or not funny enough. Yeah, yes. No one is more critical of the show than the people who wrote it and performed it every single day. So to tell me, but Stephen Colbert was being mean to the president, that means his show should be canceled. What? No. Colbert being mean to Trump is as important as Gutfeld, that show, which is unwatchable trash, but it's important that it's there for the people that want it. I love late night. I am hurt by this decision. I do believe it was politically motivated. You can't look me in the eye and tell me that they canceled it for financial reasons. Now, there's more to it than that. Late night has been going down. Stephen Colbert's show is expensive. Stephen Colbert is expensive. There's a band, there's a theater, there's audience coordinator, there's wardrobe, there's guest booking. There's a lot of shit that happens. But if it was just about money, you can adjust a lot of that stuff. Seth Meyers just got a 4-year renewal, and they had to adjust. They took away the band. I think they fired a writer. They lessened the staff. I'm not saying that's the right way, but if you're going to look me in the eye and tell me that you canceled this show, this 100-year-old TV institution, because of financial reasons, that's soft. That's soft. Now, if you're going to tell me you canceled it because you are trying to sell your network to Skydance and that needs Trump's approval, you just settled with Trump even though your lawyers said this was a very simple and winnable case, and we gave him $12 million or $16 million or whatever it was. Think about the timing of all of this. Colbert made fun of the bribe, the what CBS Paramount paid to Trump, and 3 days later he was gone. I think it's kind of like the Billy Bush thing. Remember when Billy Bush got fired because he laughed at Trump saying grab him by the pussy? Which anybody who's ever worked in television knows, if you're about to interview somebody or you are interviewing somebody and they make a joke, you got to laugh. You're not supposed to stop everything and say, wait, women's rights. Remember that he's gone? Nobody's seen Billy Bush since. It's kind of like that. One, he's been around a while. He is expensive. He's been problematic maybe in the past through internal shit that there's only been rumors about. First of all, Stephen Colbert has not been problematic in the past. He has talked a lot of truth to power in the past. Remember the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where he just belittled in a humorous and tasteful, hilarious way? Some people on the right would not say tasteful, but he was in character. That's kind of the beauty of the character, right? You can just be in character. That's why people let animated objects say and do whatever they want, but they're animated. I think this is a terrible decision, and I think we all have to think about that this, it's hard for it. There's a lot in my mind going on right now, and I believe that late night is important. And so when I heard that they said this wasn't working financially, I thought, okay, so it's not working financially. This isn't the Johnny Carson show. You're not making $600 million a year in advertising. But one, if it's important to you, you would keep it. Remember the old tennis coach used to say to me, if it's important to you, you'll change. If this show is important to you, you would figure it out. Do you know how much bullshit CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox put out that loses money? That all loses money. Every once in a while, something doesn't. Flip through Netflix. Look through all those thumbnails. 90% lose money. If this was a financial decision and it was important to you, and this is the thing, it might have been a financial decision that wasn't important to you, but if this was a financial decision and it was important to you, you would cut back costs. You would tell Stephen, here's what we got to do. Your show's important to us. And you would accept less profit or even breaking even or even losing a little bit of money because it's important. It's important to have people and shows that call the bullshit out. And he called the bullshit out. And the problem is the bullshit canceled the show. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. So I think they're kowtowing to Trump. I think everybody is, which is what authoritarian leaders want and do. And be careful, everybody. If you feel like this isn't my industry, this doesn't affect me, it's coming. It's coming to everybody. They silence their critics. And what's so difficult and challenging about this isn't Donald Trump saying, Stephen Colbert, you're fired, but he's doing it through legal pressure for our CEOs and companies that require him to then do his dirty work for him. So, where does The Daily Show stand? I don't know. I'm saddened. I am hopeful that the shows, maybe we flew under the radar because we're cable, because we're not broadcast, because when you check into a hotel and you turn on the TV, it doesn't just turn on CBS, ABC, or NBC. You have to find us. Maybe it's a good thing that there's 25 different Daily Show hosts because it's really easy just to point the finger at one person, Stephen Colbert. I was thinking about that on my bike ride, They can't just say Kosta said this, like the way they can say Colbert, Colbert, Colbert. We rotate the ball around. I don't know. Maybe that's helpful for us. But I also think, I think if we, the viewer, find value in something, it will survive. And I do believe a lot of people feel Colbert was valuable. And for whatever reason, he got canceled. Probably political pressure. Let's be honest. Stop saying it isn't. And now Paramount, CBS, is going to find out how valuable he was based on backlash, based on, one thing that came to mind when I started to research the finances of all this was they don't have the strongest social media platform. They aren't super clippable, Colbert. That sucks. It sucks for them because so many people watch The Daily Show through YouTube and through our clips, and you don't make any money on that shit. But, I was thinking about the ins and outs of his show, and then I started to go, fuck that. Of course, you can always make adjustments. If Paramount CBS would have gone to Stephen Colbert and said, hey, we need you to be more clippable, we need you to have a bigger Instagram presence, they adjust. They're smart people. That's how this shit works. The bottom line is they didn't want to be in this relationship anymore, and that's sad to me because I believe late night is important and it serves a very important function for our society. Now, the Gutfeld thing, it's cheap. Maybe that's one thing all of late night can learn. It's cheap. All of those guests on that terrible show, by the way, I sometimes like the guests. They're free. They don't get paid, which is kind of how late night works too. I remember the first time I did the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, the University of Illinois Development Office called me and wanted to take me to lunch. And I was like, you guys think I'm a millionaire? I get paid $612 for that. They were telling me about the new library they wanted money for. I was like, $50. So there's the part of me that's having a hard time digesting how much of this hurts personally, emotionally, and how much of this I have to challenge as a society. But I really hope that we value late night. I really hope that we value these institutions that that can push back. And do we just want Jimmy Fallon? Is that what this is supposed to be? Is it just supposed to be a guy who pets puppies and blows up a balloon and then lets the air blow out on your face and then they do it in slow motion? If they haven't done that segment, they will soon. By the way, that serves a function too. It serves a function too. I've always liked my comedy that challenges and pushes us. And some of you might say, okay, well, that's not for CBS. That's not for the broadcast. Okay. But it is for 11 o'clock, right? Maybe it's not daytime. So I don't buy we did this for financial reasons. Maybe a few advertisers pulled out because they're more right wing or because they want to be more centrist and they don't like that he's talking shit about Trump. Okay. If it's important to you, you would figure it out. If it's important to you, you would sit down with Steven, who, by the way, a lot of hosting late night is being a kind, effective, motivating leader for your staff. And he is that. Everyone says he is that. And they don't all say that about all of them. And I don't know. I don't know if a year ago they met with him and said, we got to increase the ratings or else. I don't know. Maybe they did. Comedy Central, Paramount, they don't, I'm not going to get into this, but it's like the more they can keep us, the hosts, in the dark about that stuff, the better for them. That's what it feels like. They're not sitting with us saying, like, here's this happened, and you said this word, and it dropped the ratings, which could be paralysis by analysis, but also in the instance that you're going to cancel my show, I would like to have had those meetings. And I don't know. Maybe that did happen. And maybe this is conveniently working for Steven because it feels like it's political, and it's not, and maybe, who knows? When the news first came out, and I just saw the text or whatever, I thought, oh, maybe Steven didn't want to renew his contract. But then you start to really looking at it, and it's, it just is so fucking lame, and Trump won the election. Is that what this means? That the people who criticize him get canceled? Stephen Colbert will be fine. He has a lot of money. Will his staff be fine? I don't know. They'll be looking for jobs. That's a lot of people who are out. And the bottom line is Paramount, CBS didn't feel like this was worth the fight. And that sucks. That feels like you got broken up with and you're saying to the person, but don't you want to fight for me? And they're saying, look, this is a financial reason. Don't fuck the financial reason. It's not like it was bankrupting CBS. Come on. I feel so bad for his staff and for him, especially if this is because of political, and he's going to be on the air till May. Well, let it rip now, Steven. Go for it. My God. And I just hope as a society, we value late night. Can late night adjust and change? Yes. Is late night going to have to get cheaper? Yes. Are we going to look back at late night with the band and the ratings and the full hour? I mean, it used to be 90 minutes. Steve Allen used to host the Tonight Show as 90 minutes. But it is important. It's important. And why can't streaming fucking figure out late night? When I go to Paramount or I go to Netflix, why isn't there a topical late night show? Bang, every night. Every night I sit down with my wife and we can't find anything to watch on Netflix or we fall asleep. If there was just a headline, a section that said topical, today's news, bang, hosted by your boy, Michael Kosta, bang. It doesn't have to be this huge, big thing. And maybe that's what this will eventually turn to. I think it probably will. I think there will always be someone sitting at a desk hitting you with the news, I hope. Maybe a few, I don't know about the panels. It just is so loose, you guys. It's so loose. It's so performative. It's so like, I'm the big gay guy. I'm the straight cool dude. I'm the chick. And we're not really going to write jokes. And I'm basically working for free. I mean, that's what Gutfeld is. So it's a guy sitting in a chair while everyone else yells stuff and there's no real stakes because no one's getting paid. We figured out how to make audiences laugh, right? You figured out like the crowd warm up and all that stuff. So anyways, I'm with Stephen Colbert. I'm with all late night hosts, whether they follow my politics or I follow their politics or not. And look, when people recognize me out in the street, I always say, well, how do you watch The Daily Show? And it's YouTube and Instagram. Very few are sitting at home watching it on their television. And those are where the ads come. But I will just say, like, there's going to be a price to pay for that, you guys. And then you watch The Rehearsal on HBO, and it's like, oh, do we just have unlimited budget? What was the show? Anthony, the guy who did the show for Hulu, FX, about, he took the celebrities to their hometown to eat their favorite meal. And I'm like, oh, you're just in Indonesia shooting for 3 weeks? So there is money in TV. Good show, by the way. I'm just saying, don't give me this financial thing. If it was important to you, it would stay on. And it hurts me that it's not important to them. And that is the one thing that people say to us at The Daily Show. You're keeping me sane. You're how I get our news. It's important what you're doing. And we certainly don't start the day in a meeting going, how can we make today's show important? We try to make funny out of what's happening, which is pretty easy when you see what's happening. But, it's frustrating. And let me just say this, and I got to be careful with this. When people compare Trump to Hitler or Mussolini, we all go, or an authoritarian regime or fascism, we all go to the end of that moment. We all go to the concentration camps and the Jewish people being killed systematically. But it might be safer and it might be more valuable to think about how those regimes started. Okay? So you might not be comparing Trump to the Hitler that took his own life because he's a pussy, soft-ass bitch, but to the way he started to control media and silence the critics in the beginning of Hitler. Okay? We know what happens to Germany. We know what happened to Mussolini, shot by his own firing squad. By the way, watch Mussolini give a speech and watch Trump give a speech, and it's close. It's close. Like the affectations, the movements, the simple terms. It's straight out of the playbook of authoritarian rule. And authoritarian rulers don't want people that make fun of them, which I always thought was so funny. If you're a badass motherfucker, you can take it. The great white shark isn't down at the bottom fighting back with the minnows. It's a fucking comedian, bro. You canceled the court jester? How fucking soft are you? And I also love and hate that tennis is just not tied to any of this. You turn it on and it's like, what a shot. And it's like, you guys didn't see the news today? You didn't see what's happening? That's why it was so kind of interesting when a few of the Ukrainian players were pushing back on the Russian players. And then it was like, we don't want to talk about this. It's tennis. It's like, well, this shit does transcend life. And certainly Stephen Colbert losing his late show because of political reasons, because the bigger company wants to sell to a bigger company that needs presidential approval. Certainly, that isn't the same as Ukraine versus Russia. But you do have to look how these authoritarian regimes start, and they start by silencing critics. They start by creating an enemy, the other, immigrants, And I hope we have systems in place that stop this from getting worse. But I don't know. He's got 3.5 more years of being a president. Anyways, would love some good public backlash on CBS and Paramount over this Colbert thing. And we might get it. We might not. And, you know, maybe the Daily Show is in a good position because we're on cable and cable's dying and they could sell us to Hulu or Netflix. Or, I mean, you know, why couldn't you go to Netflix or Amazon Prime and the Daily Show's right there? Today's Daily Show is right there. And maybe someone like Stephen Colbert is too boxed in by being on one huge broadcast network, which is a huge advantage from a rating standpoint, because when you walk into a bar, CBS is just on, as opposed to Comedy Central, which no one even knows what channel it's on. So, interesting stuff. Thank you for listening to me and my take on this. Let me go through my notes. I don't buy that this is financial. I don't buy it. Too many things were lining up politically. Maybe it's financial in the standpoint that Trump said, if you get rid of that guy, I will make sure this deal goes through. Okay. I guess that is financial, but that sounds like a very, very, very political motivation. You guys, we don't want politics to determine this stuff, because then that isn't what a democracy is. I do not like that show Gutfeld. All they do is sit around and tell hacky, terrible jokes. But there's an audience. People find it important, I guess valuable, so it should exist. I don't know who the musician Lorde is, Lorde. People like that person. They listen to that person. I don't know if I like that person. That person should exist. You know Blippi, that stupid kids character? That guy should be canceled. Yeah. It's not financially working for us. So what? It's important. So what? It's important. I think that's what hurts, is that they didn't feel it was important. Yes, the show could be more clippable. Yes, the show could do a better job on its Instagram. Yes, all of that. Yes, those are all calibrations and adjustments that the staff would make upon feedback from the network. I'll just, you know, that is the beauty of late night, is that you calibrate and adjust all the time, like we do in real life. And, yeah. All right. Other things. I think in general, you know, you used to turn on late night to laugh and to be entertained. And I think now there is so much entertainment and there is so much comedy in our pockets at all times. And so I think the fine needle that everyone has to thread is it also needs to be of service. It needs to be valuable. And for whatever reason, maybe Colbert wasn't serving that as much as they thought. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I do know that that's one of the most common things people always say to us about the Daily Show. You are where we get our news. You are where we get our news. And I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. Anyways, thank you for listening. This weekend, I biked from Kingston, New York to Hudson, New York, west of the Hudson River, crossed the Hudson River, went up to Hudson. Great little town, 5,000 people. It's like liberal jerk-off session up there. There was a bunch of crackheads in the park. Every shop is like an Etsy, some person's passion. I'm like, none of these shops make any money, but it's beautiful. It's on the river. 5 breweries in a town of 5,000. What? Met my friend. We took the Empire State Trail, which, if you don't know, is a very, very protected bike path. Now, should note, up at Hudson, we were on backcountry roads for a lot of it, which was also beautiful. Very, very beautiful biking through the country of the backcountry roads of New York. Let me go through it in my head. Hudson, New York, backcountry roads, down, crossed the bridge, back into Kingston. In a fate of touch of irony, I actually ended up the next day back in Kingston where I started the day before. Bad planning by me. Had a wonderful lunch in the great town of Kingston, New York. Had a few beers. Got back on the Empire State Trail. Biked through Bard College, which I had no idea about. What a cool upstate college. Talk about liberal jerk-off sesh. Awesome. The Empire State Trail goes east and west, the entire state of New York, and north-south. And it's backcountry roads, paved roads, gravel. Probably part of the coolest trip was this Wallkill Valley area, crossing rivers and lakes in a protected gravel track for bikes and walkers, people's backyards, see kids playing on the trail and you're biking past them. Very, very cool. My ass was hurting the entire time. I don't know how professional bikers do it. 77 miles the first day, 70 miles the second day. My legs are very, very sore. I went to bed the first night feeling like I played a 5-set match. You know, parts of my hands were cramping, fingers hurt. It's like when you play that long tennis match and just things hurt that you didn't know could hurt. I fell asleep watching Lance Armstrong highlights, which the Tour de France does not do a good job showcasing highlights. I mean, also that guy's teammates used to give him his blood. He used to get to the hotel and suck his blood out of his body, and his teammates would give him their clean blood. I mean, talk about cheating. Jesus Christ. Also, how did he get caught? How did they find out that he was... How did Lance Armstrong get caught? AI. Lance Armstrong's decades-long pattern of doping and denial was finally exposed through a combination of whistleblowers, extensive investigations, and eventually his own confession. Here's a breakdown of the key factors that led to his downfall. Persistent allegations, faced rumors and accusations of doping. A critical turning point came when fellow cyclist Floyd Landis, who had previously admitted to doping himself, accused Armstrong and the U.S. Postal Service cycling team of systematic doping. The United States Postal Service. That's not a good look. I would love it if the Postal Service cheated. Maybe we'd finally get the package I sent. Oh, God. Oprah Winfrey interview and confession. Yeah, I remember that. You don't get to cheat, and then confess, and then we all get to like you. But I have a lot of respect for cyclists after what I did. Saw some beautiful lakes the second day, got back on the trail in Fishkill, headed south, slowly, east, west, south, paved trail, legs killing, burning me, past these amazing lakes, Whaley Lake, Lake Tonetka and Brewster. I don't know these places. A lot of marsh, a lot of protected land. Just really cool to experience the state of New York that way. Of course, as you get closer to New York City, the trail gets shittier. You get more homeless people. I knew I was coming to an end when I finally got to Sleepy Hollow area. There's a reservoir, and I just saw like 6 Hasidic Jews in a paddle boat on the reservoir, and I was like, oh, I'm back, baby. Finished at Sleepy Hollow, which is a real name of a town. Is it Terrytown? Terry's Town. Had a beer at a Vietnamese restaurant. The owner came out, asked me how many miles I did, told me all about his bike trips. I mean, it is a really fun thing to bike around. You get to see so much more land. I've walked Appalachian Trail. It's beautiful, but the whole time you're just kind of in the same type of geography. On the bike, we had back roads, biking through farmlands in upstate New York, country roads, farm roads, gravel, paved bike path, back to country roads, big, wide paved path with away from the highway with big trees surrounding you to keep you shaded the whole time. We crossed the Hudson River 3 times, back and forth, back and forth. Really cool to see people crossing the Hudson River with their families, with their kids on scooters. Just, this is all like government paid stuff that we don't even think about, but exists and is there for us. And I'm always thankful when I see what my tax dollars are doing. I feel like they should always put signs up that say, hey, you paid for this. Just so you know, this is what taxes do. The government is so bad at messaging. So instead we vote in a douchebag who all he does is message. Control the message. Great bike trip. A lot of fun. Thanks for listening to Tennis Anyone podcast. We're not doing results. Basically, Shapovalov won his 3rd title. Venus Williams is playing in D.C. Why? Bublik won somehow again. Shapovalov returned. Shapovalov's 33 in the world. I mean, he was as high as 12 or 13. Big fan of his. Good guy. Not sure he has the killer instinct, but still, it's 33 in the world, and he's got a huge game. Rune on Agassi collab. I've never met a guy who sees the game this way. I don't know if anything can help Holger Rune. We had a tournament in Gstaad. We had a tournament in Bastad. It also should be noted that your boy... Is that a picture of Andy Roddick? That does not look... Yeah, it is. It should be noted that your boy Michael Kosta made last round qualifying DC, which was the City Open. I think now it's called something different. And I think that starts this week. It is the Mubadala City DC Open. Should I look it up? City Open Michael Kosta. What comes up is my Tennis Anyone and a New York Times thing. Results. All right, whatever. Nothing. You could probably find it deep in there. Ladies and gentlemen, long live late night TV. Please support it. Thank you for watching it. Keep watching and supporting The Daily Show. Pay attention. Watch what's happening. Learn about your history to see what we might be walking into. I hope not, but it sure feels like it. This was a little bit of a downer, but I just had to talk about this stuff. Thank you for listening on iTunes and Spotify. Thank you for watching on YouTube. I'm Michael Kosta. Game, set, match. Kosta.